But speaking of 3-point shooting and how important it is in a young star, I think this isn't a hot take at all, but 3-point shooting has to be the priority for all teams when they're considering a rebuild. Like, you pull in guys, I'm not saying you see these prospects like Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes and you just pass on them because they can't shoot threes. Talent's talent, but ultimately your team has to be shooting. Like, everyone has to shoot three efficiently too. So let's look at these. Top 10, right now, top 10 teams in 3-point efficiency. You got the Heat at number 1, obviously. Really good team, borderline contender. Bulls,
number 1 seed
same
in the East. I mean, that matters.
Bulls, super surprising, but I'll jump into that too. Hawks, they're struggling, but I think it's their 3-point shooting that is keeping them relevant. And it's their Trae Young, their playmaking. Obviously, there's a lot of factors, but if they couldn't shoot the 3, I don't think they will be nearly as good.
Yeah,
as
their defense is just atrocious.
Yeah, that's something else they got to figure out. Bucks, obviously championship contenders. Obviously, they just won the championship. Suns, best team in the league. Clippers, that's kind of the outlier.
Playoff team.
They are a playoff team. They've been doing really well. We got the Jazz. Again, we just talked about them. Possible contenders. They're one step away. Warriors, contenders. Stop it. Hornets.
Stop it.
Hornets, awesome. Hornets are they're good. I mean, they're a borderline team right now, but I think same as the Hawks, their 3-point shooting is the reason why they're so far, and all their other struggles are obviously what they're struggling with. And then 76ers.
They have good ball movement too.
76ers, obviously a contender too. I think if James Harden was on if you're looking at the teams from the trade deadline, 76ers would be way higher in their 3-point efficiency. I don't think they'd be 10. I think they'd be sitting around 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably lead the league in free throw percentage too.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's 3-point. Like, all those teams are good teams, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think bad 3-point teams, or like not that 3-point shooting teams, aren't even made. Even, let me jump into another one. Even 3-pointers made. All these are good teams too. Wolves are best in 3-pointers made. They're number 1 in 3-pointers made. Playoff team, obviously, lately. That's probably what has skewed their efficiency.
Yeah, that's their system. I mean, their system is live and die by the 3, try to get to the rim as well, but not a whole lot of mid-range shots on that team. Yeah,
their system is everyone but Jared Vanderbilt shoot the 3, which is a good system, I guess, obviously.
Well, it works because it's like, even if you're not efficient, high volume works.
Right. And then you have the Jazz, Warriors, Bucks, Hornets, Heat, and then you have the Rockets. They're the only outlier in this. However, they just shoot as many threes as they can. That they have the same system without.
Yeah, it's like who the Wolves were, just last year. The Wolves led the league, I think, in 3-point attempts, or were like high up there the last couple of years when they were terrible, and people were like, "What are you doing shooting that much?" And it's like, we're trying to build a system, and we're figuring out who doesn't belong in that system, and that's exactly what the Rockets are doing right now. They just spent 4 first-round picks this last season, and they have other young guys, and they're gonna have another pick or 2 this season. Like, they're trying to figure out who works in their system.
Right. Yeah. And you can see it as, but they're a bad team. I'm like, maybe they have the right idea. That's what the trend is towards. I mean,
yeah, rebuilds don't take 1 year.
No. But then you got the Knicks, who are just kind of a fucking mess, and they're the real outlier here, is what I'm thinking. At least maybe this is what's keeping them close to the playoffs, is their 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I think it's just surprising to see Knicks in any type of good category, but maybe they're shooting a lot of threes and missing them.
Right. But then you got the Celtics, obviously, cool, and then the Blazers, which I think they fall in the same category as the Rockets, where it's like, maybe they have the right idea, they know where to start and move from there. And I think it's
good, second half of the season too.
Yeah, I think the age of the big man is going away, and I think a guy who rebounds and can play defense is a lot more common than a guy who can efficiently shoot the 3. And I think that's what we're leaning towards. And I think that's definitely, I mean, LeBron introduced this idea where even if a guy can't shoot threes, and if he's a great talent, just surround him with as many shooters as you can, and you can win a team. I mean, how many times?
That's the modern blueprint, for a team to really, if you got a star like that, at least. But I am gonna disagree with you that you think the big man is dying, because currently we have Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid, who most consider to be the leaders for the MVP candidates right now. Okay. And outside of that, Karl Anthony Towns is a big man who is shooting over 40% from beyond the arc this season.
That's a good point. I think they're becoming more of an afterthought. They're not a priority anymore. You see guys, especially in this last draft, Mobley was great. I mean, look at him. He's about to win Rookie of the Year, and that's almost
another
evidence
big man.
Enough. But that's almost evidence enough. He fell to 4.
It was 3.
He was 2.
What is that evidence of? No, he was 3.
Yeah. No, it's evidence. Like, you look at guys like Jalen Green, the guy who was drafted before him, and they're just like, oh, yeah, look, like, there's some that could have argued.
Just because, like, he wasn't a big man, though.
No. So
like Jalen Green more.
I mean, there's some arguments that you could have looked at it. Like, I thought the Rockets should have picked up Evan Mobley. I thought he was the better player at the time. And
I thought Jalen Green was a better player at the time.
Oh, well. But
so, like, that was just a legitimate opinion at the time.
Yeah, but then I just think all these teams are just, like we just said, like, I think they're prioritizing all these guards and guys who can play making 3. I think big man, unless they're an elite talent, it is such a huge drop off from elite big man to just.
Oh, I agree with that. I'll give you that. There is a big drop off from elite big man to the non-elite, but there are some real elite ones. And we still have a lot of really good forwards who are just big enough where they could play like the center position. Like, we've got LeBron, who has shown us he can play the center position. Kevin Durant, obviously defensively couldn't, but he is an amazing big man. He's probably like 7 feet tall. That's pretty big in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty big. But yeah, I mean, 3-point shooting it's just where it's going. And I mean, the Jazz, Lakers, 76ers, they were struggling. Jazz figured it out. Lakers never figured it out. I mean, look at the Lakers. They're a perfect example on you just have to shoot, otherwise you're not going to be.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like
because it just like it piles up on you if you're going up against a team who can shoot and you can't keep up with them. Right. Like, you miss a couple of your shots, but they hit 3 threes in a row. They just 9-0 run you. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, the 76ers were really struggling at the beginning of the season because they just couldn't figure it out shooting wise. And then obviously the Lakers, like, people, a lot of times, I think a lot of the people watching will be like, duh, yeah, 3-point shooting is important. But I don't think people understand how important it is now because so many people shoot threes. Like, you cannot do it. You cannot be an NBA team without elite shooting like that.
I mean, teams look for it in the draft constantly. Like, it's what you need. Everybody knows it. Like, you just, like, even when you're drafting guys, you're training them how to shoot, like, instantly from then if they're not a good shooter anyways, because, like, you need to get them to an acceptable level. Like, not everyone's going to shoot 40% from 3, obviously, but you could get them to 35% maybe, you know, get a nice, good looking jumper or at least good form. It helps you inside the 3-point arc as well. If you don't have good form and you fix it. And at the very least, if you got to put up a shot when you're deep in a shot clock, you've got the opportunity to put up a good one. Yeah, for sure. It can make or break an offense like that, and that's obviously super important. It adds a lot. I mean, and especially, bringing it back kind of like to the big man too. If a big man and everyone on the starting 5 and 5-man on the court, if they all can shoot, everyone's a threat. You have to spread the defense out. You can get to the rim easier. Your just playbook opens up more. It's shooting solves all your problems in the end. Oh yeah, shooting's the reason why Rudy Gobert gets taken off in the playoffs. If you have all 5 that can shoot and all 5 hang out and you play 5 out, you get the switch and he ends up getting switched on a guard.
And Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year, gets sat, gets benched because an offense is so good at 3-point
that
shooting.
That is crazy. I mean, what else do you need to know to tell you that shooting is all that matters? If the 3-time and potentially 4-time defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, has to get subbed out because he doesn't shoot well enough and can't guard shooters well.
It's important in this league. Just wanted a foot stomp it. Just thought it was worth talking about. But it's also crazy though. Like, it's not just how much you shoot it. It's if you're not going to shoot it well, you have to shoot it efficiently, and that is the perfect example of the Bulls. So the Bulls, they're second in 3-point percentage, right? Obviously, we were just talking about how they're a fringe contender, but they are 28th in 3-pointers made. They are 28th, but they're the second best efficiency. And that, if you're not going to shoot threes, you better fucking be good at it. It makes sense in that way. Like,
I guess that maybe they just know themselves well enough. They're just not shooting them unless they're wide open. Is that what it is?
No, I think it's the DeRozan identity. If you're not that efficient at shooting threes, you don't need to shoot them. However, yeah, it's all like shot creation and who shoots.
I mean, Levine's never been an efficient 3-point shooter, so maybe he's realizing he doesn't need to focus on that as much. But
right, and Vooch has struggled. But the thing is about that lineup is all 5 of them can shoot threes when they have out on the floor, and
they have the ability. They won't surprise you if they hit a 3.
I think that's just a perfect example of Billy Donovan being one of the smartest coaches in the NBA, looking at the personnel he has, and he's like, all right, fine. You guys don't want to shoot that many threes? We won't. But when we have a play, it's going to be a damn good play, and you're going to be open, and you better hit it. Otherwise, if you don't hit these, but it makes or breaks. If they don't hit their threes, they're dead. They're dead in the water because then they loses it. But
no doubt. And we've seen them be dead in the water a lot. They're probably going to get swept in the playoffs because guess what? They've lost to every single team that is better than them this season. That is fact, or at least it's the top 6 seeds in the league, which I think is the same thing. So that's fucked up. On this week's episode, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up. I'm just here to tell you guys, like and subscribe, but please do that. Also, comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about this video. If you want to roast us. If you want to compliment us, please. I need compliments.